suppose have some games.
Hey guys, welcome back to Classic G-Body Garage. I have the 78 Cutlass Calais T-Top backed up here in the garage, and the reason for that is because the driver's rear brake is squealing awfully loud. Keeps on squeaking. I believe there's something going on behind that brake drum. When I had the brake drums off, everything appeared to be okay, but of course this car is, 35 or so years old, and I'm sure there's something going on behind there, and this car's been off the road for several years. I've been putting some miles on it. The brakes are starting to act up a little bit, so I'm going to get the old floor jack out, the impact wrench, get this wheel and drum off, and find out what is going on behind there. Okay, I got the brake drum off, and at first glance, everything appears to be relatively normal, but something that I did notice is a chunk of the brake shoe just came right off. So these brake shoes might be awfully brittle, and it looks like the liner is coming away from the liner is coming away from the shoe. So I'm guessing it's just chunking apart like that. I'm guessing these shoes are just extremely old and literally just falling apart. So what I'm going to do, see, these things are just so brittle. They're just coming apart. They're literally just coming right apart. So what I'm going to do is, that's probably the reason why they're squealing so loud. The vibration that was happening with the liner separating from the shoe itself was probably causing the vibration. So what I'm going to do is I have a very good used set of shoes, which I'll throw on this car. Pulled it off one of my other parts cars that appeared to be in almost brand new condition, at least the brakes were. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you guys exactly how to do drum brakes on a G-Body. Alright, here are the tools. You got your typical brake cleaner. You have a little hold down remover tool. You have these scissor looking tools, which is a spring tool for those long springs, and then you have your safety glasses. Normally, you don't need safety glasses when performing a disc brake job, but for drum brakes I highly suggest that, because these springs have a lot of tension behind them, especially when you're reinstalling them and you don't want them flying off and hitting you in your eye and taking your eye out. So there you go. So this remover tool right here has cupped ends, and it is for the brake shoe hold downs right there. You put it on the hold down and you twist it, and the brake shoe pops out. This tool right here, I don't use that end. I've never used that end. I forget what this end is for, but I use this end, and it has two important tools on this end, and they are to remove and reinstall the springs, these springs right here that are on either side. This side is to remove the spring, this side is to install the spring, and you will see exactly how both of these tools are used. Okay, the first thing you do after you took all your pictures, put your safety glasses on, of course, then you take the scissor tool with this end right here, and you're going to start removing these two springs. Pay attention to which spring goes first. The front spring wraps around the eyelet right here, or the anchor. So I'm going to go ahead and take this tool, put it on the anchor. There you go. Pop it off like that as soon as you figure out how to put it on. Unhook the spring. That comes off. Pay attention to where that goes, which hole that goes. I'll probably forget how this goes together myself. Alright, next, remove the little spring anchor. Pop it off just like so. Alright, now this particular anchor right here hooks around right there. What you want to do is just set everything else out on your cardboard or on the ground, how it went. Now you have this little piece right here, looks like wings, that goes on there first, that keeps everything flat. Pull that off of there. Alright, so now there isn't any tension left on the shoes, okay? So what I'm going to do next is pull the shoes off by removing these anchors right here. You use this tool here. There's a pin on the back side that runs through here, the center. You have to hold it down with your hand because when you twist it, it'll twist as well. So you want to hold it in place. Go ahead and push and twist. There it goes. After a little bit of effort, pops off just like that. Set on the ground, the pin pulls out of the back side. That side was a little bit easier. Pop that off. Pull the pin out. Alright, on this side you have a spring that goes up against the this little tensioner piece right here, which is part of the adjuster. That pulls out just like that. There should be a spring on here like this. There are two different pieces here. You have a piece right here. So this comes out as an assembly. This piece also comes out, so watch yourself. There are tons of pieces here, so just lay that down. That spring kind of falls out. Lay that to the side. Now the shoes are pretty much just going to fall off. On the back side of the shoes there's a bar that goes across the back side. And then you have the e-brake. This is the e-brake right here. The e-brake hooks into the back side of the brake shoe. Like I said, it's hard to do this or show you guys on camera exactly what's going on. Here we go. Everything just kind of falls apart, and that's why it's very important to take pictures. So there you go. I have a mess here to clean up. Here's the bar on the back side. Make sure you pay attention to which side it goes. There's a spring on this side. The spring is supposed to be one piece, but it's broken in two pieces. So this little tensioner spring is on the front side of this bar. This is basically like a stabilizer bar that keeps the brake shoes stable. Alright, I have everything off. These brake shoes are an absolute disaster, so I'm glad I'm replacing them. And then you have the tensioner. Make sure the tensioner is, or the adjuster I should say, is very freely moving, like this one is here. So that's good, and also the cap on the back side of it as well is moving freely. And then also you have the spring for the tensioner. Pay very close attention to the direction that this went. So now what I'm going to do is hose this down. Okay, I have everything all sprayed off and it's nice and dry and clean, or as clean as it's gonna get. And down here I have my good set of used brake shoes. And I also have all the hardware all laid out. And I even have myself an image that I took a while back that I had stored on my phone on how it goes back together, because I need to reference that as well. So as you guys can see, I have it put together to a point where it makes it easier to then slip on to the backing plate. What I did was I went ahead and put together the adjuster with the spring, and then also this piece that I showed you that was all together. I just laid that into place. Just because it makes it a lot easier. You're not holding the brake shoe in place and then trying to get this piece into place. It just makes it a lot easier because you can go ahead, slip it on, and it literally just hangs from this top anchor right here. And I'll show you how that goes here in a minute, but it just makes it a lot easier if you put it together somewhat off the car and then slip it on. So here are the two different sizes of the brake shoes. You can physically see the difference. This shoe in the front is a whole lot smaller than this shoe here. Let me grab a pair of brake shoes in my box of parts right here and I'll show you the difference. Just lay them here on the ground. Alright, there we go. You can see the difference and the brake shoe size. The liner on the top, there you go. The front shoe is smaller than the rear shoe. So do not get confused when you put these brake shoes on, because they will go on either direction, but the front shoe is always the smaller shoe. So there you go, there is the difference. Alright, let's get these brakes on this car. Okay, the first thing you do is take the emergency bracket that's here hanging on the cable, and it's going to hook into this hole right here on the top. Alright, get that thing into place, kind of hold it there. Stretch the brakes over there, and there you go. They just hang just like that. Now, what you want to do next is, see these brakes are kind of loose. These are your anchor tools. Go ahead and put those into place so these brakes aren't flopping around here. Put the pin through the back, and you have the spring-loaded anchor right here, or the fastener. Use your tool, push it on. Alright, here we go. We got one into place. Alright, got the other one into place. Make sure the brake shoes are nice and centered. Make sure your e-brake bracket did not come out of place, as that likes to do. Alright, next thing to do, let's get this bar into place. Some people usually forget it. Like I said, the spring, this is all one piece now, goes in the front, slips in behind the brake shoes. You can see exactly the slots it goes into. Go ahead and push it into place. Alright, that's all into place. We're looking good. Okay, this little spring right here, this fits underneath the adjuster. Keep tension on this adjuster right here. Go ahead and set that underneath there like so. Alright, so now this adjuster spring loaded. So now all I have left is I have this wing piece that goes on first. That fits just like there on the top, so make sure you get it first, and you can see it. There's a lip that it fits on. There is a stepped lip on this anchor on the shoulder there, and that, make sure that fits over that lip. Might even want to kind of make sure it's sitting on there. So now all I have left is I have this anchor, the spring, and this last spring. And I'll show you that this tool comes into play now, and you're going to use this end with the hook with the little nub on the end there. This is where you're going to want to use your safety glasses. You reference my picture, make sure the springs go on correctly. Okay, this little hanger, this bracket right here, goes first. It hooks into the adjuster tool just like that, and it goes over the anchor just like that. Next, you have the spring. The spring hooks into the brake shoe. Let's get in there. Alright, it's in the brake shoe. Now you have to get this spring over to this right here. There's like a ½ inch that it has to go. Make sure the spring is on there correctly. Make sure your safety glasses are on, which I'm going to put mine on right now. Okay, this is when you use this tool right here. This nub right here goes into the spot where you're going to hook the spring to. So you get the spring around it like that, get it hooked into that spot just like so. There you go, just like that. Very, very easy, keeps tension on that brake shoe. Next, make sure the shoes are nice and aligned. Up on the bracket, up on top. Next thing is this final spring that goes into this far hole right here. Now I have to get this spring up to the anchor. Same deal. Use this tool, fit it through the spring. This one's a little bit more difficult. Come on. And there we go. That is how that tool comes into play. Everything is into place. Make sure the shoes are all nice and settled. And there we go. Let me grab the camera. You can see everything is now into place. Everything is nice and clean. All the springs are in line. You can see where that spring goes. There's the top, that's the order that it goes in. You have the wing piece, you have the long wire bracket, you have the front spring on the outermost portion, and then this spring right here, the rear spring, goes into that upper hole right there on the brake shoe. There's the e-brake bracket. Then the wire bracket goes down to the adjuster, keeps tension on that, and the back spring wraps around the wire bracket just like that. And then this is what the bottom looks like. This spring keeps tension on the adjuster. Actually, that's pretty loose, so I have to do something about that. We'll figure that one out here in a minute. And then there's the adjuster and the spring on the back side here. So I'm going to figure this part out here, and I'll get it all back together. Alright guys, well I figured it out, and if you guys noticed earlier, this spring was not part of the assembly when I put it back together because I used all of the hardware on that other set that I had, which did not have this spring, so that left all of this very loose, as you saw. So I went ahead and took the piece that was on the car that you saw that did have the spring, and I just put it on back on, so because it did have the spring. So everything is all nice and tight, as you see here. And now what I'm doing is I am adjusting the brakes. Now how you adjust the brakes is turning this adjuster back and forth. Now it is relatively tight when everything's together, so I just grab a pair of pliers like this and put it on the adjuster like that, and just go ahead and turn it just like that. So when you know the brakes are adjusted, now these are considered self-adjusting brakes. However, when you do put the drum on, you do want a little bit of drag, just a slight bit of drag, the shoes to the drum when you put it on. So when you slide the drum on and off, you feel the drag, and when you twist it back and forth, you feel a little bit of drag. And that's when you know the brakes are adjusted properly. And then they will self-adjust on their own. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the brakes just like I showed you, get this drum on, and get the car back on the ground. Alright, the wheel is back on and torqued down. I'm ready to take the Calais out on the road and make sure the brakes work right and don't make that annoying squealing sound. So there you go guys, that is how you do drum brakes on the G-body, and that is pretty similar with most any other drum brake setup, but I know a lot of you guys have been asking me for a video on how to go about and do these drum brakes. So there you go. So if you are a new viewer, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, and always leave those comments, guys. Until the next Classic G-Body Garage video, keep those G-bodies rolling.